Whiskey fam, sit down, grab a dram, and listen to the soothing sounds of your boy talk a little whiskey. We have some Peerless Double Oak Rye. Lately, we've been seeing the Peerless come to our great state of New Mexico. I'm excited to talk about this one with you, give you my thoughts. I have gotten into the flagship Peerless Rye. I feel like it's a good, solid Kentucky rye. But when it comes to double oaked, there tends to be a little bit more going on. And so if you're like me, you like the things that have more going on. Let's get to it. 110, no age statement, and that's okay. And boy, that cork pop just was non-existent. I hope the whiskey is certainly better than that cork pop. Let's get into it. I am going to be drinking out of my Whiskey One Glencairn. So if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, and I hope you are, then one of the ways you could do that is visiting us at whiskeyonechannel.com. You can find our merch, and this is where you'll find our lovely customized Glencairns. We also have Glen hats, so as we get closer to those summer months, it starts to get a little hot. The creepy crawlies start coming out, and they try to get into your whiskey. I know they try to get into mine, and this is one of the ways you keep them out. Anyway, hit me up. We'll gladly send you one of these for free. If you want a set of different colors, kind of like an assortment, because you have more than one Glencairn, will cost you about a couple of fazools, but we'll take care of the shipping on that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This is a nice, beautiful dark color, and oh boy, I like them dark. I do like them dark. This is like a tawny, like crimson color. You can see it's got some fat legs, starting to show a nice fat lip as I do a gentle roll there. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start with the nose. I like it. I like it a lot. Man, it's got a beautiful nose. There's some brown sugar sweetness right off the bat. This being a rye, I'm expecting to get those baking spices. It's kind of light when it comes to the baking spices though. You get anise, you get cinnamon. Man, yeah, it's got a nice dark chocolate note to it too. A little baker's chocolate going on. A subtle coffee note. Some soft oak tannins. And that typically happens when whiskey has had a good amount of time to age in the barrel. If they are young, the oak flavor will tend to be like overly tannic, bitter, dry, just depending on how old it is. This one seems to have probably at least 4 or 5 years at the very least. And it's not young at all. It feels mature. The rye isn't losing its personality from being in that oak. I really like what's happening here. There's even like a vanilla note that's there. It's not super aggressive. It's just the right amount. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this taste, shall we? Cheers to all you watching. Okay, the rye is there on the palate. On the nose, it felt like a high rye bourbon. Sweet, sure spicy, but it wasn't really like too rye forward. And I think the double oaked helped to mellow things out. It's not an aggressive rye on the nose, but where you really start to feel this being rye is on the palate. Wow, it's got some heat to it. That 110 proof is probably just the right proof. I'm gonna go back to it again. Okay, black licorice, anise, cloves, cinnamon. Wow. Matter of fact, the cloves and the cinnamon really starts to build up on those return sips. The dark chocolate really is a dark chocolate note. It's not very sweet. It just has the flavor without the sweetness of dark chocolate. So think of it like one of those dark cacao bars that are like 85%, 90%, and that's about where you're at with that. It's not oaky. You know, some double oaks can be a little aggressive, overly tannic. This is not that. It's got a good amount of seasoning from the oak. If anything, I feel like it gives it a little bit more of that chocolatey presence. It doesn't mute down any of the spice. And as a matter of fact, if you're into rye, like I am, and believe me, I'm more into rye than I am into bourbon. I just feel like rye tends to have more personality, has a deeper conversation. Then I would lean more towards the double oaked Peerless than their flagship Peerless. Only because when it comes to the flagship Peerless, most of the bottlings you'll come across are about 3 years old. It can be a little too young, just depending where you're getting it. And this one feels like it has that additional level of maturity to carry on a better conversation. I feel like there's more going on with the double oak. So if you can, splurge a little bit, spend some extra cheddar, get the double oaked. I so far like this. Matter of fact, quick shout out to all you guys that, you know, consistently give me bottles to try, do a review on. It really does mean a lot to me because you care about my overall thoughts of it. So without further ado, let's get back into this whiskey, have another sip, talk about my thoughts on the finish, and overall, who do I think that this speaks to? So cheers again. Okay. You get a deeper black tea note as you get more into those return sips. Even more dark chocolate. Again, this is not on the sweet side at all. So it's more of a dark cacao. The baking spices make a return comeback. There's a bit more anise coming on this, but there may be some of you guys that don't like rye when it comes to like this eucalyptus flavor. There is no eucalyptus going on here. It kind of turns me off too. You almost have to have a palate for it. Think of it like an IPA. Not all people enjoy drinking an IPA beer, but this is not that. It's not perfumey. It's got a good balance of baking spices, a good spice rack going on here. More clove coming out, sure. The cinnamon really hangs onto the palate. It just has that slow simmer heat going on. It just doesn't let go of your palate. And overall, I really enjoy this. As a matter of fact, I would recommend this pour for the whiskey novice. 100%. This is just a great double oaked whiskey through and through. You guys may not know enough about Peerless, but they're based out of Louisville, Kentucky. And it's a brand that kind of died for a while, mothballed, and then kind of brought back to life. And these guys at first had to source their whiskey, but they are making their own juice now. My hat's off to them because they did it right. You know, they're not cutting corners or anything like that, but they're still trying to give you guys a good solid product. And that's what I think that this is. You can find this for about $80 to $90, just depending where you're shopping at. I think that's a reasonable price for it. These guys also have a double oaked bourbon, and you guys should be on the lookout for that. I've tried that before, and dang, I thought it was a very, very solid bourbon myself. I still need to get a bottle, so if any of you guys can help me out with that, I'd gladly appreciate it. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the video. If you can, please consider subscribing. I would love to get your support. Maybe even become a Patreon. You can also check us out at whiskeyonechannel.com. We not only post our videos, our writtens, our written reviews, but also I've been getting more into a newsletter approach where I'm trying to, try out my chops at writing and just covering different whiskey topics, either from a personal level or just from the whiskey community. So check me out there. You can subscribe there. That newsletter is completely free, but I would love to get your support through our channel. Here at Whiskey One, remember, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers.